You know, inflation creates nominal confusion. People get married to the number. But if you had a $20 bill 20 years ago and you have a $20 bill today, if you had it 2 months ago and you have it today, what that $20 bill buys you is so much less, and it's all by design. So you need to really protect yourself. That's why I say you can't take anybody's word for anything. Do your own due diligence and keep it simple. Gold and silver in your possession is very simple. It's very simple. If you're used to getting $10 an hour, you're not going to accept 5. However, if they can make that $10 an hour spend like 5, well, guess what? That is exactly what has enabled the income and wealth inequality, and why a family of 4 can no longer live on $9,500 a year, and why what a dollar would buy, which was 11 loaves of bread, with a $1 bill, a silver dollar, or a $1 gold coin, which is about half the size of my pinky fingernail, why in 1913, you could buy 11 loaves of bread with any of those 3, but that little $1 gold coin right now is, I just got the retail on it, something like $400 and change. So you can buy like 132 loaves of bread. You're buying maybe a quarter or less of bread with that dollar bill, and you're buying right about the same with the silver. Well, look, this is a wealth transfer mechanism, but doesn't mean that you can't take advantage of that. And I've done videos on this where, historically speaking, because we've got over 4,800 examples of hyperinflation and currency life cycles. So there's a lot of data out there, although I will tell you some of it is quite difficult to ferret out, but I kind of keep digging. But here's the deal. 25 ounces of gold, historically, on average, can buy an entire city block, buildings and all. So if you want to buy a house right now, even though the prices have started to come down, they're still severely overvalued. And yet you've got gold, and a rising gold price is an indication of a failing currency. They don't want you to know the currency's failing, because then you make different choices, right? So they artificially suppress it. Don't count on Wall Street to flip-flop it, because if it was a true supply and demand market like the physical only market is, those markets are going up, and in some cases, especially the ultra rarities that only the 1% can afford, they're making new highs, right? So that's where the truth lies, and where it's important for you, if you are in the right place at the right time with the right asset, then you come out of this thing on the other side with income that you cannot outlive ever. You will own nothing and you will be happy, except somebody owns something. Wealth never disappears. It just shifts location, right? So the goal is to have it shift your way. And therefore, you're in such a good position at your age to build that dynastic wealth. You just have to accumulate gold, because it's the governments, when they do those overnight resets, right? Like when they did their first overnight reset recently, you saw their spot market go up like 1,400%. In Venezuela, who's now had 4 of those resets, you saw spot go up 3,500, 2,000 times, etc. The challenge that I have personally is that I really don't know too many other people that understand that this is a currency life cycle issue. And so I'm with a lot of very brilliant people that I absolutely respect a lot, and they really do understand micro and macro and this-o and that-o. But unless you actually understand the real underlying issue, which is the currency's life cycle. As example, we were paying these people, very brilliant people, like 80, 90 grand a year to hear what they had to say on a monthly basis. It's a pretty good chunk of change, right? And for that, we got to have meetings with them. And when I would ask them any question related to that, and I would try it in different ways, every comeback was, well, yeah, we know about that, but we just don't pay attention to it. Great. So that is a really hard question for me, because there are a lot of people that I absolutely do respect. But if you don't really understand the real problem, then you're not going to get the right answers. The currency's life cycle is at an end because there is virtually no purchasing power left. And the key tool to regulate that, which is interest rates, they're also having a problem with that. That's why they're trying to raise rates, and they're going to keep raising. And I mean, they're going to turn around and pivot in here. And then the only other tool they have is this. And then what does that do? There's your hyperinflation, because there's only one way. This is so simple. There's only one way to fight inflation, and that's with deflation. And there's only one way to fight deflation, and that's with inflation. It's not like you've got a basket of choices, right? The globalization was deflationary. So they kept building inflation into the system. Plus, when they set the system up to begin with, they had two big issues that they wanted to resolve. The government wanted to be able to tax and spend, but when you're on a gold standard, that taxing and spending is obvious. And a citizen at that point had control, because if they didn't like what the government was doing, they would take a bill in, $1 in, and they could walk out with $1 worth of gold. Rapid inflation makes people lose confidence in the currency and in those that are in power. That's the real reason why they want to keep it controlled. But, you know, I would honestly say that we have to do our own due diligence. Don't take anybody's word for it, because there are just a few simple places. You don't have to know everything, but you do have to understand what those patterns are. And that's what I talk about a lot, is look at this pattern shift, right? Because you don't even have to understand what that means. All you have to know is, oh, wait a minute, there's a shift here. That means something. Could mean something good. It could also mean something bad, but that means something. So you have to be smart. You are smarter. People are smarter than they give themselves credit for. And don't just trust anybody blindly. Not anybody.